When you think of Beethoven, what's the first image that pops into your head? Yeah, for a lot of us, it's that marble bust, the intense brow, the crazy hair, the defiant genius just staring back at you.
And you can't deny it, it's a powerful image, right? This towering figure, a musical titan who wrote some of the most lasting music ever, all while fighting the creeping silence of his own deafness. It's the ultimate story of triumph over tragedy. But here's a thought. What if that's not the whole story? What if his suffering wasn't just some obstacle he had to get over, but was the actual furnace where his revolutionary art was forged? That's the idea we're going to dig into. So, to really get this, we've got to go back, way back. Back to the ideas that shaped him long before he became this icon we all know. You have to remember, Beethoven grew up in a world just buzzing with new ideas. The Enlightenment, the French Revolution. He learned that art wasn't just for aristocrats at fancy parties. He believed music could be a moral force, a way to challenge privilege, and imagine a better, freer world for everyone.
And this wasn't just some, hopeful comment from a proud teacher. His mentor, Neef, basically said, "We've got the next Mozart on our hands." So the pressure was on from day one. He was literally being groomed for greatness.
And for a while, man, he was living up to the hype, dazzling Vienna with his sheer talent. But then, the first great crisis of his life hits, and for a musician, it was just a cruel, slow-motion catastrophe.
He started losing his hearing. Can you imagine? He was terrified it would ruin his career, so he hid it. He just pulled away from everyone. People saw him as this arrogant, grumpy loner, but on the inside, he was terrified and completely alone. That despair led him to write this gut-wrenching, unsent letter to his brothers, what we now know as the Heiligenstadt Testament. In it, he admits he was thinking about suicide, but he said there was one thing, just one thing, that held him back: his art. He felt like he had this mission, this destiny to fulfill, and he just couldn't leave the world until he'd gotten it all out.
So, he didn't give in. He fought back. And his response wasn't some quiet letter. No, it was an explosion of sound. You know the one. Those 4 iconic notes that kick off his Fifth Symphony. He literally called it fate knocking at the door. It was a declaration of war on his own suffering.
And that moment of defiance, it kicks off a whole new chapter, what scholars now call his heroic period. See, the crisis didn't break him, it totally unleashed him. He took the polite, elegant musical forms of his time and just smashed them to pieces, rebuilding them to hold these huge, raw emotions: struggle, rage, and, in the end, glorious victory. Okay, so the story about his deafness, most of us know that one. But there was another crisis, one that's a lot less famous but just as important, and it shaped the final, most mysterious part of his life and his music. This was a dark psychological battle over his own family. So, after his brother died, Beethoven got completely, utterly obsessed with his nephew, Karl. I mean, he launched this nasty, years-long court battle to get sole custody, just dragging Karl's mom, Johanna, through the mud. He was desperate to mold this boy into his own image, the son he never had. And you can literally watch his obsession spiral in his own letters. Karl starts as the son of my brother. Then he becomes my son. And then finally, Beethoven makes this really disturbing claim: now I am the authentic physical father. All that suffocating pressure, all that emotional turmoil, it just became too much. In the summer of 1826, Karl tried to kill himself. He actually survived, thank goodness, but the act was just a devastating blow. The tragic end to Beethoven's desperate need for control and family. And this trauma, this really, really profound personal trauma, it just drove Beethoven deeper inside himself. And you can hear it in his late music. It's fragmented, it's abstract, it's really introspective. This wasn't music for a big concert hall anymore. This was the sound of a man wrestling with his own chaos. So that's the big question, right? How did this music, born from so much personal suffering, become this universal symbol for all of humanity?
Well, I think it's because deep down his music speaks this language we all understand, the language of struggle and hope. It just grew beyond the music itself. It became this political and social touchstone, a kind of soundtrack for our highest aspirations.
And that power to inspire is just timeless. You look at Klimt's famous Beethoven Frieze. It's basically a visual story of the Ninth Symphony's journey towards joy. And then, fast forward to 1989, the Berlin Wall comes down. And what do they play to celebrate? The Ninth. Leonard Bernstein conducted it, and he famously changed just one word, from joy to freedom.
And that's the thing. His music is still a living, breathing force today. It's played at state funerals for world leaders. It's used in pro-democracy protests. His Pastoral Symphony has become an anthem for the climate change movement. And of course, the Ode to Joy is the official anthem of the entire European Union.
You know, his status as this massive cultural hero was locked in even at the moment he died. Just look at this. This was his funeral procession in Vienna. Get this. An estimated 20,000 people flooded the streets of Vienna to say goodbye. That was one of the biggest public gatherings the city had ever seen. He wasn't just some composer anymore. He belonged to the people.
So, in the end, what Beethoven's life really shows us is this incredible, almost magical process of human creation. He took all the raw, painful stuff from his own life, the isolation, the despair, the family drama, and he spun it into this timeless legacy of resilience. His art isn't a triumph in spite of his suffering, it's a triumph because of it. It's the ultimate proof that out of our deepest struggles, we can create our most profound expressions of what it means to be human.